Ready?
All right, let's do it.
Travis here.
True love, yeah. What are you saying?
Keep my eyes on you.
Keep my eyes on you.
What made you come up with that song, bro?
Um, I guess, bro, for me, my main, not main focus, I would say, but
Yeah,
something that I've been really trying to do right now in my life is just keep my eyes on Jesus, man. Because there's so many times where I feel like I drift,
yeah,
even though I go to church, even though I read my Bible, as a consistent base. But sometimes, life happens,
yeah,
things happen, get in your mind, life goes hard, and then you don't forget about Jesus, but I just forget to run to Him at times. So
yeah,
the message of that song is just to keep my eyes on Jesus, even when things are going smooth, even when life is good, and when life is bad as well.
yeah,
So that's the reason why I feel like I felt like doing that song, bro.
yeah.
So yeah, man. Yeah,
I feel like when you came to me with that song, like it was such a like fresh idea.
yeah,
Like it's so different. You know what I mean? Instead
of
of
course.
this, because like one of the things that I've recently started, questioning in my, very recent journey into the Bible is like,
Yeah,
you know, you can read this book back to front, yeah, like a lot of people do,
mm,
but why am I reading it?
yeah,
What's the purpose? Like,
yeah,
you can read it back to front 4 5 times
yeah,
and remember it, and like a
yeah,
science test or something like that. But like, what's the reason for
yeah,
it
of course.
and why? And it's like when you came with that song, kind of like, that's one of the reasons
Yeah,
that you wanted to sort of check
uh huh.
your faith again, is to be like, why I want to keep my eyes on
And God,
God and
exactly.
on Jesus. And it's like, because there's so many distractions, bro.
Yeah,
There's
of
so many
course.
distractions in this world,
Definitely, man.
and I feel like that song, we captured like a lot of things in it, like ideas, but mainly it was
Yeah,
for what reason, and life, trial, tribulation that we went through
definitely.
or are going through, and even if it's small or mediocre or whatever,
Yeah,
it's like keeping that faith, keeping your eye on Jesus. Like it's like a moral compass. It's like a guide that you can
yeah,
kind of go back to. It's like your value system that you like
yeah, of course.
to make decisions and navigate this world
Yeah,
with all the distractions in it.
definitely. Yeah, bro. It's easy to get distracted.
Yeah,
What made you, I guess, talk about Jesus? Obviously, I know your style has always been different, like your
yeah,
message, but now it's changing a lot. I would say. What's like been that journey for you? Like,
yeah. Like with this album, it's like I started touching on this subject from my last album,
yeah,
but specifically for this album, when I was like this album is really about appreciating music, yeah,
yeah,
and like one of the things that I've been examining with that is that we I love creating music. The passion for music is very real, very raw.
yeah,
All of these external things like
yeah,
streams, money, popularity,
yeah,
radio plays, all this is all external,
yeah,
that has been created to deem that this is what being successful in music means.
yeah, yeah.
But the real essence of music is what how it makes you feel and what you create.
Of course.
And when I started working on this album, like
Uh
I
huh.
wanted to capture that, and then also
Yeah,
who
yeah,
what created music. Well, it's obviously such a powerful force. It's a force you can't see, you can only hear,
yeah, yeah,
but it's like
yeah,
such a magical force because it enters your subconscious.
yeah,
And so there's definitely like a powerful figure
yeah,
behind it. And if you believe like the Bible and Christianity, and it comes from the heavens,
yeah,
music
yeah,
comes from the heavens,
yeah.
Mr. Lucifer.
Exactly.
And so I wanted to start breaking down, like I wanted to go back to the source, like where does music come from and what is its meaning and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
that's where I started looking into the Bible.
yeah,
That's one of the only sources I could find that really told the truth about music and its meaning in our life and how it's transformed into what we hear today,
yeah,
the good and the bad.
yeah,
And that actually started my journey. And
yeah,
also I was, I think, in a place in my life where I was like, I didn't want to just keep saying God without having a specific God.
yeah. Of course.
Um, in a specific way of teaching. Like it's easy to just say God,
Yeah.
you know, but what God, what denomination, what set of values and beliefs do you actually
Yeah.
want to assign to that God? Because God saying, God, oh, God made me do this, God made me do that, or
Yeah.
God's taking care of me. It's like you can kind of play it in your favor in whatever situation you want.
Yeah.
But it's like, do you really want to take it?
Yeah.
And do you really want to understand God, or do you really want to know what God actually wants out of you?
Yeah.
And that's what attracted me to Jesus.
Yeah.
In the way that when I started reading about him,
Yeah.
first, just him as a person, you
Mm.
know, his humble beginnings as a child, as a
Yeah.
carpenter, you
Yeah.
know, living within his means, like
Yeah.
never wanted more, never wanted
Yeah.
anything that was,
Yeah.
you know, like the world that we live in now, everybody wants more. The pastor was talking about yesterday, you know, excess,
Yeah.
and how you have to restrain yourself.
Yeah.
It's like Jesus is like literally someone who did that his whole life
Yeah.
till the end.
Yeah.
And that's what really got me interested in Jesus, because
Yeah.
I'm in the point of my life where like celebrities and athletes and all this stuff, like they don't really add that much value to my life.
Mm.
You know, as you grow up, like you start seeing through the cinema, you start seeing through the simulation, you start seeing like this is all, you know, marketing, branding, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so I was in a place where
Yeah.
I needed like a new role model, because my role models have always been these music athletes, celebrities, and stuff like that. I've been raised on pop culture,
Yeah.
so to speak, and that's where my mind is programmed in a way where I need to follow something like that. But now I was kind of like losing myself, because I'm sort of seeing that a lot of these celebrities, they're all humans, they're not perfect, and you know, a lot of them were letting me down, like in my own way.
Yeah.
And that's where the life of Jesus, the way of Jesus, the path of Jesus is like something that I could really admire, could really look up to, could really follow, and try my best to follow, actually. Because going through my life journey and in my short life journey and everything, I'm seeing that this is probably the most peaceful way to exist till, you know, wherever we go after that. And well, I hope heaven, but you know, that's like and that's where my my love for Jesus really started. And I've just been researching. And I'm someone who, like, I can go to church and I can listen to the stories, but I'm like someone that really needs to do a deep dive. Like I really need to do research. Like I'm like you know, like in maths, like the teacher would have so many things on the board. That's how I need to like read, because I want to find out this. And so for me, like church is like a good entry point, but for me, I'm like a very deep seeker. So I started doing my own research and going into cross-referencing. I have a really good friend who's like a Israelite Christian. She, you know, first opened me up to that sort of way of looking at the Bible, instead of just telling you what the church tells you. It's like you got to do your own research. And even for me, that was very important, because when people used to tell me like, oh, you know, just accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, I'm like, why? You know, like, why are you first of all, you're just a human being like me. Why are you telling me that this is the only way? You know, like, what do you know that I don't know? Because clearly we're all the same. And that's like, so I used to get annoyed by people telling me that, when they're like, oh, you know, all you need to do is like just accept Jesus as Lord and Savior, and all your problems are over. I'm like, nah, I still got debt. Like, what do you want? So if I take it like, you know, so it's like I used to get frustrated with people when they used to tell me that, to the point that I was like resenting Christianity to a point. And then that's where I started doing my own research.
Right. Wow.
And got to the point, it's like, I believe Bible is as much as it's like a moral guidebook for you to have values and things, like, I also believe it's like really a history book.
It is,
It's like those things in the Bible, they did happen for real. And the person, especially Jesus, look, and that's like where people were like, well, how can you prove it? Well, how can you prove the Big Bang? Like, were you there back in when the universe started? Were you there with the camera like recording it? Nobody can prove these things, but it's like, these are stories written. There's a lot of actual proof with like archaeology and things like that that really back up everything that the Bible says.
Yeah.
So out of all the things that I've been able to research, it's like, what is the truth? This one sort of has at least the most credibility
Right.
and the most
Wow.
sort of sources.
Mm.
And that's, you know, it's like the way of Jesus, the way his life, and to try to follow that the best you can, you know, I believe is probably the only way to have a peaceful, meaningful life in this world that we live in.
Of course.
And yeah, man. So Jesus is like my number one superhero now. He's like
Wow.
my favorite person in the world. Second is my dad.
Yeah.
Like, so my dad helps me navigate the practical world, you know, like how to do your taxes, how to run a business, all that. So this, like, my dad is my superhero, like in this practical world.
Yeah.
But Jesus is, I would say, in the spiritual realm, he is my hero now to do the best I can and follow his way. And it's given me, like, legit, it's actually made my life so easy because I can just follow this human, you know, came down, Son of God. And if I can follow his life, obviously I'm not going to be Jesus, but if I can follow as close to his life as possible, I'm going to have a very peaceful life. And I'm already seeing that,
Wow.
you know, in my short journey into my life with Jesus. And, you know, baptism and all that, you know, I think we'll come to that when I feel that strong feeling. I think we'll get to that point. But right now, the attraction of Jesus, from, even if people tell me take his miracles away, you know, dying for our sins, resurrecting, just him as a normal person living his normal life, you know, leaving no room for excess, like he doesn't want that, restraining himself from all that, and just what he preached, came here as a servant, you know, these type of things. Like, if all of humanity could sort of encapsulate some of that in our lives, and we all have it in our you know, they say inner child, the spiritual people say an inner child. Your inner child literally wants all those things. It's made out of those things. And that's what I started realizing. Is like, my inner child always wanted to be kind, loving, peaceful, and no ego and this and that. It's like, but as we grow up in this world, you know, the programming has us believe we must compete, we must try to do better, we need more, we need bigger, we need to show off, we need to be petty, we need to, and it's like, when you take all of that away, it's like you actually just want to be loving and kind and peaceful.
Course, man. And that's the life that, you know, Jesus lived. He was he lived the opposite to what the world, and that's what it is, being a Christian and believing in Jesus. It's like you're living a life that's opposite, you know. It's just like somebody's disrespectful to you, you know, and your flesh, human nature wants to just, you know, show that disrespect back, but because we have Jesus in our hearts and his peace and joy, and the way he lived his life, he always did the opposite. So that's why I think for me, like, I'm super, like, passionate about making this known to people in the best way possible, like through doing music, you know, like we're doing. It's not like we preaching, you know, we preaching through our music, I guess, but we still being ourselves, you know, we're still being True Love, we're still being Travis, and you're just representing a different thing that hasn't been represented before. Like, it's getting there now, you know. But for me, it's like just showing people, man, like, there's a better way to life than what you think is better, you know, like, and it's never about I think a lot of people, when they talk about Christianity and Jesus and stuff, I feel like they feel a lot of, like, pressure to be this perfect human being. But what I started to realize as I grew in my journey, you know, obviously I've been Christian my whole life, and as I grew up and became an adult, I started to realize, like, there's no, like, God doesn't want you to be perfect, you know. Jesus doesn't want us to be perfect. He just wants us to be, just come as you are, you know, like it says in the Bible, like, come as you are, come with your brokenness, come with your sin, and he will accept you. For me, that's been my life. I feel like I had a lot of issues and brokenness and all that stuff. God just accepts me every single time I sin, every single time I make a mistake, every single time I feel like I'm not perfect. He just accepts me as I am. He accepts me with my brokenness. He accepts me with every single thing. So I hope people watching that this conversation encourages you, you know, to start your journey. And it's never to, like, make you look at your life and feel like, nah, I'm doing wrong. Like, nah. it's your own journey, you know, like you're
Yeah,
on your own. Everyone's on their own journey of discovering God. And,
mm,
so long as you start that journey, that's all that matters. Take small steps,
yeah,
take baby steps for everyone. And so yeah, that's what I feel like. The reason why we made this song is to make it a bit known, but in a different form,
yeah,
and keeping my eyes on Jesus. You know, it's been a
yeah,
basis of my life, and I see that every single time I drift, I just keep running back to God, and He always accepts me with open arms,
mm,
which is the coolest thing. You know, like where it's like it's like you disrespect somebody and you beat them up, you swear at them, you rude to them, and then they just be like, "Nah, it's okay, bro. Like, I forgive you," you know. And that's the type of love that Jesus has for us and God has for us.
yeah.
So yeah, man. So it's a lot to it than what we think. So
Mm.
yeah,
I feel like also that gives you, um, one of the things I find with that, like when, everything in your mind or in your heart is telling
yeah,
you to be petty or
yeah,
be
yeah,
hateful.
yeah,
Even when someone's done wrong to you, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
like the way I've been able to now see it is like, well, my superhero treated this situation with love.
exactly.
Jesus, my superhero, he treated with love,
Yeah,
he treated with kind, and he didn't let it affect him,
yeah,
and he still chose love
yeah,
through all of this. So I start now in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's cool to now be like,
yeah, 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 yeah,
it's like, because for a long time it's like, Kanye, like these celebrities, and I love Kanye,
yeah,
but like celebrities, I'll be like, Kanye reacted like that, so I'm gonna react like this,
yeah,
because
yeah,
that's who I've been emulating my whole life. And now it's like, nah, if that guy's being petty and jealous, and like now I want to react to it hatefully, I'm
yeah,
not gonna do that,
yeah,
because my superhero did it with love.
exactly,
And when I do that, bro, I feel cool, because it's like, nah, Jesus did it that way, I'm gonna do it that way.
exactly.
It's like such a fun thing,
Yeah, yeah,
and such a cool thing. Like, it's that perspective has changed.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it took me 30 years, bro. Like, I'm 30
yeah,
now, it's
yeah. Of course.
but like you said, you just come as you are. And like, I was, probably say that everybody, like you said, journey
Yeah, yeah,
is in their own time.
exactly,
I would probably say, do your research.
exactly.
That's probably the best way
Of course.
to understand this.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's like, whenever someone's talking about God, or whenever someone's singing about
of
God, like
course.
we're doing in this album, it's basically, just we're just expressing how we feel. And it's like,
Of course.
there's so much that is people expressing whatever,
Yeah,
everything, negativity, this, and it's like there's a spiritual realm where like there's a lot of negativity being put into people's subconsciousness.
yeah, yeah,
And I was part of it too, what
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like I grew up with that type of music and all that sort of thing.
yeah, yeah,
But it's like now, in my soul, in my spirit, I want to be able to put out music that, first of all, I know is gonna reach people and make them feel good, and it makes me feel good to put it out. It's gonna, I can play it for my kids in the
of
future.
course.
But
Definitely.
but also doing it in a fun way, like
Yeah, yeah,
you were
100%.
talking about it, yeah, like you were talking about,
Yeah,
like when I went to Travis Scott last year,
yeah,
you're talking about, I would have loved to come, and I was like, and I didn't ask you because obviously at that time I wasn't like strong in my faith
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Christ, but I was like, man, but I thought you were Christian, so like maybe you will feel some
yeah,
type
yeah,
of
yeah,
way. But you said something that was cool, because as an artist,
yeah, yeah,
you still want to be able to listen and experience, because that's something that can inspire your creativity in a different way,
yeah, yeah,
like
of
in
course.
your
Of course,
direction,
yeah,
in your path, in
exactly.
your faith.
Like with me, like when it comes to music, like
Mm.
obviously there's bad music, but as a creative, like you gotta see like those people,
Yeah.
not as people I guess to like live your life by.
Yeah.
The way I see it is like, oh, those people make rap, they
Yeah.
they have cool music sounds, they've got cool beats. Like, I can do that too with my beat, I can add like a trap beat and then talk about Jesus or talk about God,
Yeah.
I can have a drill beat and talk about R&B beat, it's not gonna change the fact that I'm representing Jesus, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of people can have like debates on that, like, oh, you can't use that, you can't listen to that. But I feel like my understanding and my perspective, everyone's different and everyone understands things differently. But I see it as like a way to generally like pick up different sounds as well. Because at the end of the day, I'm Christian, I'm representing God, but I'm still a music artist too. Like I want to pick up different sort of sounds, like I want to hear like a cool Travis Scott being black. I can rap on that too and change the message and change the feel of it and make it a positive way,
Yeah.
That's how I kind of see it in a sense of I love Kendrick Lamar, he's like one of my favorite artists. Like he's unreal, but the way that he writes his music is very like poetic, you know, and like he gets really deep, and that's what I'm trying to do, you know, but just with God and Jesus, talking about those things, but then going deeper than
Yeah.
making people realize and opening up their minds to it. You know what I mean? Because Kendrick has up, he's like make a lot of people open up their minds to a lot of things and things happening in this world. And why can't what's stopping me is stopping you from doing that and representing the positive thing, you know? So that's how I kind of see it when people say, oh, like this music, that and that, you know? So yeah, but
You want to keep walking?
yeah, let's keep walking.
Jonas, keep following, keep following.
Keep walking and
keep
talking.
record. Yeah, okay.
But yeah, bro, I think it's just like this whole thing is just a journey, man. And I feel like people are afraid to come to God and faith because of their past life. You know, I feel like a lot of people be like, nah, I'm not good enough to be a Christian.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be good enough to be a Christian. It's not about being good. Yes, it is about being good, or you have to be good in some point, but like you're on a journey, you know. There's grace, and then there's taking advantage of God's grace, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which people don't understand at times, but I feel like Jesus and God, like he has a lot of grace for us because he knows like we're human beings, we're gonna sin, we're gonna give into our flesh at times.
Yeah.
So like sometimes like that's why denying your flesh is so important as well
Yeah.
at times, and you know, like not giving into sinful nature, which is not easy thing to do, but
Well,
yeah,
that's the story. Like, you know, like with Jesus, what that's another reason I was so attracted to him.
yeah,
Was that you know, reading the Bible or like understanding the Bible, the summary, and when he comes down, you know, Son of God comes down as a human being. The reason he did that was because for a long time, you know, people who were living at that time would have believed like, well, there's a God. We've heard this, that. There's this, you know, 10 commandments, but it's like he doesn't know what it feels like to be a human because he's never been a human.
Exactly.
And you know, after all of the things happen, okay, God sends down his only son, and he lived his whole life as a human. He felt all the pain. He felt, you know, everything that a human being goes through, the experience up to the end. He did the 40-day, 40 night, and all the way to the end. To then, you know, that was God coming down and showing you, yes, I've lived my life. I came down as a human. I did all this. Now you can see, and like when you said about the flesh, is that he felt every single thing a human being could feel. So now we cannot be like, oh God, you don't know how it feels. Like you're sitting up there, we're down here. You don't know my struggle. It's like, nah, he went through probably one of the hardest lives of a human being.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
to fulfill that prophecy, so that we don't have sin. And yeah, man, it's crazy. Like it's such a it's really powerful. But all of this stuff leads you to believe, you know, with the Bible, a lot of people, and I used to have all these questions like, how do you know 6 days he created the heavens and the earth and all this type of thing? But it's like, you have to put yourself in the book. You have to understand these stories. You have to obviously take this as history. And then you're able to understand why this happened and that happened. And for me, it's like, I love it because
keep talking. Easy, keep on.
Keep walking.
Easy.
We for me, I think because I was raised a Hindu. Then, you know, grew up in that. Then when I came to Australia, I think we kind of like didn't really practice that. And so for a long time, like the concept of God was always something I believed in. I always knew there was a higher power, but
of course,
I lost my religious ways with Hinduism, and then for a long time I was just doing worldly things. And then that's where slowly knowing that there's a God, then understanding, okay, I've been saying God a lot, but like it's kind of like I'm using and picking and choosing when to use God for my own thing. And and now it's like it's time to, you know, really understand God for real. And that's when I started going through this journey. And it's the only God that makes sense to me.
Right.
And it is the Most High, and like and that's where even with this album, like I felt that if I didn't really identify that part of it, and I just kind of pushed out thank God for music and just God, whatever, universe, whatever you want to call it, it's like I'll be kind of contradicting
Yeah,
myself, and I just be
of course.
sort of trying to play all sides,
Yeah.
and that's where, even going to church, man, like this church, like there was a lot of stories about, like Christians are getting slaughtered here and there and things like that, and like,
Mm.
and the pastor was showing me this, PowerPoint and slides, and I was like, damn, this is he's really going against these other group of people that are like killing Christians, like he
Yeah.
was really, and look what they did to this woman and
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, okay, here we go. This is like he's trying to like program us to like, hate this other
Yeah. Yeah.
group of religion or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he then showed that these people whose family died because of this slaughter and this and that would then
Yeah.
let's go over here.
Yeah. Let's go there. Yeah.
They then publicly went on TV
Uh-huh.
and forgave this other group.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
that's what Christianity is about. It's about forgiving.
Yeah.
No matter whatever the
People's
harshest
done
thing
for
that's
you.
been done to you.
Exactly.
And that really resonates with me because
Yeah.
I've always felt like that since I was a kid.
Yeah.
That no matter how bad someone has done
Done to you.
something to you, like
Of course.
if you harbor hate or grudge against them,
Yeah.
it's only you're just feeding into that negativity.
Mm.
And yeah, it's the journey of life will have you think that you must get revenge.
Mm.
However, is that really gonna make you feel good?
Of course. Definitely, man.
What can you speak on that? Like growing up as a
For me,
Christian?
I think for me, like that's always been a battle, to have resentment towards people. Because I still, like, there's still times where people do stuff to me,
Yeah.
and I'm like have resentment towards them,
Yeah.
have anger towards them, have hate towards them.
Mm.
I'm a human being. I've got emotions, and that's like a trigger of an emotion, like anger, hate, and all those things. But I think for me, journeying there, bro, it's just like it's been a hard journey. Like, to be honest, I feel like only recently, or the past few years and stuff, I've gotten to the point where I've gotten at peace with, like, if somebody like did something to me bad, or they maybe broke my heart, or disowned me, or did something like that, I would be at peace with it now. I'm more or less at the point where I'm like, if somebody is rude to me, somebody treats me bad, I'm just gonna give it to God, give that emotion to God. And that's what I had to do, bro. There's so many moments where I had to just like, God, like, yes, I'm feeling angry, yes, I'm feeling frustrated, yes, I'm feeling annoyed with this person right now, but I just give you that emotion. I give you that feeling, that anger, because I didn't want to be around that person and then look at them and be like, nah, like, you did me dirty, so I'm not gonna respect you. Like, that's just not the right. That's not what we do as Christians and as somebody that believes in Jesus. Obviously, people is gonna look at you and be like, oh, how can you be a Christian but you still, like, you have hate towards me? There's been moments like that with people that's questioned that, and I had to realize, like, yeah, they're right. Like, I can't be doing that if I'm representing this, God, and doing it, representing God with a passion, and showing people like how to live, not how to live, but this is what represents me. It's like I'm representing this part of me, and then I'm doing the opposite of what I'm saying. So I think that's always been a challenge for me growing up as a Christian, as somebody that knew the Bible, grew up in the church, understood God, been through sermons, been through youth camps, all these things. The biggest thing to me has always been like the inner thing of like frustration towards people that's done me dirty. I'm like, how can I forgive somebody that's hurt me? How can I forgive somebody that's given me pain? You know what I mean? But it's like, you just learn, man, like with God's grace and His love. Because the thing is, even though I sin every day and I do wrong, God still loves me. Jesus still loves me. He still has grace for me when I'm doing people bad. You know what I mean? And He doesn't tell me, how can you be a Christian but you don't respect me? Like, He's not doing that to me. He's saying, like, it's okay, my son, it's okay, my daughter, whatever. Like, I still love you. Yes, this person has done you dirty, but I realize with every situation now, what I've been learning to do is like just give that emotion to God. Like, God, I'm feeling like this. I give myself time to process that feeling or that emotion, and I just let Him be like, all right, take the emotion, God, take it, and allow it to not stumble in my heart, to not grow. It's like you planting a tree. It grows bigger, and then just becomes too big. You know what I mean? And then it's a bad emotion, it's a bad feeling towards that person. So I've just learned to, like, generally just understand, like, it's okay to feel like that, but don't let that feeling, wander for too long. Just give it to God, give that emotion to God, so that He can give you a better perspective on things. And He's been helping me a lot with that, like even the past few months, in the past year, just learning like, okay, that's fine. Like I feel like this about this person, but that's not who they really are. They probably were hurting,
Yeah,
probably going through stuff as well. And you learn to understand, like, people are just human beings, man. We're all trying our best to be better, and
yeah,
we're not gonna always make people happy. We're gonna disappoint people, and you just gotta understand, like, that's just life. And you just learn to have grace for people, learn to have love for people. You know what I mean? So even trying to teach like friends and people that you trust about like that concept of like of grace, and that concept of forgiveness towards people. It's a really hard thing, to accept in our hearts, but we just learn, bro, with Jesus and Him being the person that forgave the whole world for their sins. Like, there's probably a billion or trillion people in this world, and He's
yeah,
forgiving all of us. Like, so what's stopping us from forgiving one person?
yeah, yeah.
From like doing us dirty, even though they were wrong. Um, so there's different ways to go about everything like that. But for me, that's just been like that journey, bro. Even now being Christian and stuff,
Yeah,
I had my
yeah, yeah.
moments, where I was mad and frustrated at people, which is normal. So yeah, bro, that's what I've navigated, learned
I
to
like that.
navigate that.
I like, because your path and my path would be so different
Yeah,
in some ways, but
of
it's
course.
one of the things I've also come across whenever I've met Christian people, especially like yourself,
Mm,
like my wife, like
mm,
friends, is like, just because I used to have a lot of questions about Christianity, and like
of course.
I would ask all these questions, and
Mm,
you know, they will always reply in this calm manner.
mm,
And especially my wife, like I've been asking her a question, this, that, and my other friend, like I would be,
yeah.
every single thing I want to dissect it, this, that way,
Mm,
and they never got frustrated with me, and
mm,
I saw that, and like it kind of, touched me in a way, because if someone was talking to me about something and they keep questioning something that I believed in,
mm,
like after a while I would lose it,
mm.
And I'd be like, what do you
Yeah,
mean you don't get, like,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
I've saw with like, with Christian people, like they seem to be so calm about it
Mm,
when they're explaining things, and
mm,
and that's where exactly like that again led me to
mm.
sort of look into it
Of
myself. And
course.
now when people talk to me about the same question that I was asking, like, it's crazy. And I'm very early in my journey too. I'm still discovering
Yeah,
so
of
many
course, bro.
things.
Of course.
But whenever people ask me very similar questions to that I was asking, like I'm able to also like answer it, and it's like kind of fun
Mm.
to be able to like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
help
yeah.
them in
Of
their
course.
journey or
Of
whatever they're
course.
seeking. And
Of course.
it's really cool, bro. Like it's
Mm.
really cool. I really enjoy it,
Definitely.
and it's given me like such a beautiful direction in life.
Yeah.
Let's go in this direction.
Oh yeah, actually,
let's, let's go, Jesus.
yeah.
But it's given me such a good
Yeah, yeah.
direction and pathway in
Of
life,
course, bro.
and yeah, this album, bro. Like I'm so happy to make this album. Like it's
Mm.
this song, is like crazy that it was supposed to be a collaboration. Then I'm like, nah, I'm gonna just
Put on the
take it
album.
out of the album.
Of
Like
course, man.
Travis, I'll take it because it fit the album so well.
Exactly.
And this album came very naturally. It came in a very short time too, because I
Yeah.
just released my last album last year.
Exactly.
And that
Exactly.
was like 17, 18 songs or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
And then pretty much I was gonna take break or whatever, and
yeah,
yeah, I guess the calling came,
yeah,
and yeah, when I started working on this album, like it literally helped me finally get
yeah.
to that research point where I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna start doing my own research.
Mm.
So it feels amazing. Like
It's good, bro.
I'm very happy
Of course.
to have made the song with you. I'm very happy to have met you, bro.
Of course, bro. 100%.
Because it's like, when I started making this album, the first person that
Yeah.
I thought of that will be the feature on this album will be you. Like straight
Yeah,
away,
yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Because not only do you, talk about Christianity in your music, but
Mm.
you also, a lot of people take this away from Christian rappers. Like, you are actually an artist, first
Mm.
of all. Like, you can do anything that any of these artists can do,
Of course.
but you choose to speak on the subject matter that you speak on,
Mm.
and that's very admirable, and that's like,
Mm.
beautiful in its own way. And
Mm.
so I knew first of all you will fit the album because of the themes of God and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, talent wise,
Yeah, yeah.
you're actually good.
Exactly.
Just because some of Christian rapper, but the music is,
Yeah. I get you. I get you.
you know
I
what I
get
mean?
you.
Like,
I do. Yeah.
I love that you talking about God, man. It's beautiful, but
Yeah.
that's not in the right autotune key.
I get what you mean.
You know what I mean?
You need
Like,
to.
it's like
Yeah, you need to, bro. A
your
lot
flow
of.
is so off, bro. It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
hey, we
Your journey, man.
good your journey,
Of
but
course, bro. Of
but
course.
you have like such mad talent
Mm.
in recording music. Like you're able to,
Mm.
encapsulate
Of course.
talent, but with the subject matter of faith.
Definitely.
It's beautiful.
Thank you, bro. Even for you,
Yes.
bro. I feel like the journey, bro.
That
Like
is-
meeting Chula,
yeah.
like it's told me a lot about the appreciation for music. You know, like as much as we both, before were doing different sort of styles. Like for me, it was never about that. You know, a lot of people be like, "Oh, why are you making a song with somebody?" I'm like, man, it's not about that. At the end of the day, we're making music. You know,
Yes,
we're
sir.
making something so that people can hear and understand. You know what I mean? I think it's cool that two people from different life experiences, total different ages as well, like such big different age gaps,
Yeah.
different understanding of life and perspectives can come together and create something that's for the people, And that's what I love about music. It brings two different people together with different dynamics and different perspectives of things,
Yeah.
to like make something one. And that's what it's about, man. It's all about creating art, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for me, it's like God's giving me this gift. Why not use it in
Yeah.
different ways and work with different people,
Mm.
different styles? Like recently, I've been really trying to do different styles, not just rapping up. Like in this song, Keep My Eyes on You, can hear some singing in there.
Yeah, yeah,
I never
yeah.
really,
Nah, I'm glad I got you singing.
it got me singing. Chula got me
Yes.
doing the melodics, the auto tunes. Which is good though. Like, and I love like
Yeah.
experimenting with that stuff. Like I get to like learn about
Yeah.
my journey. Even like for you, like having a lot more experience with music. Me being a
Mm.
bit younger, it's taught me as well about how to navigate these things, how to not worry about the streams, how to not worry about the numbers, and just generally just love music. You know what I mean? Because
For
for
real.
somebody like my age and our generation, we're all just caught up in this number game and
Mm.
all that streams. And I look at my songs like, I don't have 20,000 streams. That means I'm bad, But I'm like, no,
Yeah.
that doesn't define my music. What defines
Yeah.
my music is great art and passion and joy for creating.
Yeah.
So that's something that you've told me, bro. How to just love making art no matter what the outcome is of it,
Yeah.
And if it's like God will bless it at the right time.
Yeah.
That's how I realized it. Like at the right time, there's no like rush to be famous. There's no rush to have big streams. There's no rush for all that. Like the right time, it's all about making art that you love and enjoy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So that's something I've learned a lot
Yeah.
by you, Brian.
It's
So yeah.
the love for music is internal. Everything in terms of validation is external. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
Internally, your passion and love for music has to be so strong
Yeah.
that you can be recording in your room, and like for me, the happiest moment is when I'm actually recording the song in my studio. After that, it's all work.
Yeah.
Quote unquote work.
Yeah.
It's like that's still the most purest form of happiness that I can imagine in my life, is like just to be able to record the song. All of this other stuff external, and as I've grown older, as I've seen my journey into this industry,
Yeah.
I've realized like all of that external, and that's not actually giving you that much happiness. Just from my perspective, and this is all created, like this is all being famous, being popular, streams, all that. This is all created. This doesn't just happen like
Exactly.
that. So for me, it became very clear that I'm gonna make music for the rest of my life because it gives me pure joy, and everything else is cool for me.
Yeah.
As long as God's hearing it, that's it.
course.
And people that I care about, like yourself, like my wife, like people who my close friends that I'm close with, like if they're hearing it, they enjoy it, oh, I'm good.
Exactly,
I'm
bro.
good because I enjoy it,
Of course.
and
It's all that matters.
that's all that matters.
Of course.
Yeah.
Too easy, man. Thanks for listening.
Yes, sir.
Keep my eyes on you out on Spotify, everywhere, man. Hopefully this conversation impacts you and gives you perspective on why we made the song, and why we do what we do, you know, like we're passionate about this. We love music, we love God, we love Jesus. You know, we want to show people there's a different way for you. Like, this is not to force you, to judge you, just to show you like this is what God is. Like, He's saying, come as you are. So if you have any questions and would love to talk to me, True Love, myself, whoever, doesn't matter. Message, contact, too easy, man. Thanks for listening.
Thank God for music.
Thank God for music. Let's do it. Come on. Yes, sir.
Wanted that Rasta life.